After years of the community asking, they finally nerfed the nurse. Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. BHVR just released their first developer update of the new year, and I gotta say, I think they knocked it out of the park. There's a lot of really good stuff on here that I like, which is why I'm making this video, because I wanted to talk about it. I don't always do these with developer updates and stuff. Sometimes I do, if there's a lot of stuff that I like or want to talk about. The first change, and I think it's a big one, is the solo queue buff. They're adding the survivor activity HUD, so basically you can see what your teammates are doing, whether they're going to be repairing a gen, on a gate, healing, cleansing a totem, searching a chest, even if they're snapping out of it, waking up a survivor. Like, there's a lot of different cues that they're going to be giving you as far as telling you what your teammates are doing, which I think is awesome. They already teased this before, but it just shows the little icon next to their name so you can see what they're doing. And then whoever's in chase doesn't have anything next to their name. I know there's some people who probably wanted there to be an indicator of whether or not your teammate's in a chase, but I think that's too much information. I think for killers like Wraith, Ghostface, and Pig, killers who like to hit a survivor and then make the others think that they're chasing them, but then they, come back around and stealth and sneak up on other survivors. I think, if you take away that stealth aspect, it kind of makes those killers a little bit less fun and less strategic. So I'm glad they're not telling you when the survivor's actually in a chase. A lot of times it'll be obvious though, like the Jeff here, how he's injured and he doesn't have anything in his activity circle, but everybody else does. It's probably safe to assume that the Jeff is the one in the chase. But I'm very happy to see this because, as we know, solo queue can be painful, and I think this is definitely helpful for seeing what your teammates are doing, whether you need to go for the save or stay in the gen, all that good stuff. One thing I didn't expect them to change was the wiggle mechanics. So they have this skill checks where, you're wiggling off by hitting great skill checks, and if you hit the great skill checks, you wiggle off a second faster in total. And they actually took that away. I don't know if anybody asked for this, because I never noticed like a difference in the wiggle off time, at least playing killer and survivor. Honestly, I never really noticed a big difference in wiggling off, but they took that away, and now they're making it to where if you hit the great skill check, you cause the killer to sway more, almost like a boil over effect. They sway 20% more if you hit the great skill check, and they're making the great skill check bigger, like easier to hit. If you only get a good skill check, it makes the killer sway much less, apparently. It says 50% less than before, so it's interesting. They're gonna sway 20% more than normal if you hit the great skill checks, but if you miss them, they're gonna sway 50% less. So it'll be like, basically like you're just carrying a survivor and you're not like getting swayed much at all, I feel like. I'm sure 90% of people will be able to hit the great skill checks since they're making them easier to hit now. So it'll be interesting to see how much that 20%, sway actually makes a difference. I doubt it'll be that big of a deal, but again, just kind of an interesting change that I didn't see coming and I didn't see people asking for, but whatever. Now we have the big one, the nurse being nerfed. And I gotta say, I expected it to be a heavier nerf. I feel like it's not really that bad. Basically, all they're doing is they're making her blink attacks special attacks and not basic attacks. So it doesn't work with Starstruck. It doesn't work with NOED. It won't work with Jolt, I believe. Now, don't get me wrong. I think this is a really good change, but I still feel like a god tier nurse with just a bunch of gen perks and, infectious fright could still dominate pretty hard because the core ability is still there. They did also add a sound cue for when you recharge your blinks so that you know that you have your blinks back without having to look, I guess. Okay. And more notably, they did take away the range add-ons. That's a big one. I know that that's like max range nurse, especially on maps like Midwich, was pretty fucking nutty. So I'm glad that they changed that. Apparently they're changing a bunch of her add-ons. So I'm guessing her add-ons are just getting a total sort of rework, and we'll just have to see what, they all do when they come out. But most notably, her blink attacks are special attacks, so they don't work with, again, NOED, Starstruck, Jolt, that kind of stuff. And then she doesn't have range add-ons anymore. I still feel like she'll probably be the best killer in the game, but who knows? Maybe not. Now there's the Knight. They actually added some changes to the Knight, mostly to incentivize using his power in more of a length of distance, as opposed to just dropping it at a loop. They're adding incentives to dragging it out and using it as more of a patrolling ability, which not a lot of Knights use it for because it's easier to just drop it at the loop and then zone them out. They have to run away. but they're making it to where once you go past 10 meters with your ability, the survivors start to see the little orb less and less, so they don't know exactly where you're going. So it's a little bit harder for them to predict where the guard's going to patrol. And then also they made it to where the farther you go, the more of a haste that you get when you come out of your power, so that the knight himself will move faster after coming out of putting down the guard. So I guess they do that so that you can catch up a bit faster after placing the guard, which is nice. And then they also made it to where when a guard spots a survivor past the 10-meter zone, they move to the survivor's location faster, like they start chasing them faster. So I guess they're just giving you a bunch of incentives to use his power in a more, again, patrolling type of way, as opposed to just push the power button once and that's it. They also made it slightly more beneficial for the guards to kick gens. They made it to where it's going to regress 5% rather than the 2% that the killer normally gets when they kick it. So they did that because when a guard kicks a gen, they don't get the perk value, like Pop Goes the Weasel or Eruption, Call of Brine. Like they don't get any of the perk value, so they're just making it a little bit more worth it. If you go out of your way to kick a gen with the guard, you get 5% regression instead, which is adds something, I guess. Another change that I'm really excited about is Eyrie of Crows being reworked, apparently nerfed, taking some good structures out of it, making it more bearable, because goddamn, this map is rough, and survivors have been using Eyrie of Crows offerings like crazy lately. I swear I've been playing this map as killer more than any other map. Again, survivors are just using the offering a ton, and I don't blame them. It's an insanely good map, so might as well take advantage of it. But to see that it's getting reworked is very nice. A couple other small changes that are just really nice is that they're making it to where you have a tracker for your challenges in the match. So like if you have to cleanse a certain amount of totems or get a certain amount of heals off, that it actually tells you your progress in the match so that you can keep track and you know where you're at. So that's just nice. And then they also made it to where you can now go through the archives and stuff while you're readied up. And one thing that's really cool that I didn't expect was you can ready up as killer, and then you can also, while you're readied up, look through other killers and spend blood points, mess with your perks and stuff like that, which is really cool because I've always wanted to do that since they've changed, you know, being able to switch your killer. I've wanted to ready up and then go spend blood points or like, you know, get a build ready for the next game or something like that. So they've actually added that, which is cool. Now, possibly my favorite change in this entire update, only because I just recently started going for killer adepts, is they made killer adepts easier. If you didn't know, killer adepts are way harder to get than survivor adepts. For survivor, you just have to equip their 3 unique perks and escape the match. That's it. You can just hide all game, get hatch, and you get it. Easy peasy. For killer, you have to get iridescent emblems, everything, play basically a perfect game, and the further you are in rank, like if you're, you know, silver, gold, iridescent rank, it gets harder to get those emblems because they make it harder. And so if you're trying to get adept at iridescent rank, it's like almost impossible, especially when you have certain killers that their power hurts their emblem systems. So now they're just making it to where when you get a 4K, you get Merciless. When you get a 3K, you get Ruthless. They're just making it easier, which is awesome. So now, as long as you get a 4K, you get Merciless, you get your killer adept. It doesn't take 1,000 attempts. I look forward to getting the rest of my killer adepts much easier. And to those of you who already got your killer adepts this way, you have my respect, but also, haha, sucker. They gave us a little update on the cheater situation. In 2022, they banned 64,601 cheaters. That is beautiful. It is beautiful. And, you know, that was probably the worst year in terms of cheaters, you know, with the whole holding everybody hostage, you know, dilemma we had for a while there, and that's all been nipped in the bud. Nobody gets held hostage anymore because they fixed it. So definitely applaud behavior for that and for banning so many cheaters. I do still see subtle cheaters here and there. It's super rare though. At least as far as I know, it's rare. I maybe encounter a cheater that I know is cheating once a month, if that, maybe twice. I don't know. It's very rare. But that's it, and all this is going to be in the PTB tomorrow, and they're saying that it's going to be on all platforms later this month, which is awesome. I don't normally play PTBs unless it's something big or if it's like a new killer, new chapter. This I probably will test out a little bit just because I want to play Survivor and test out the new solo queue stuff. That's probably the main reason, and probably go to Eyrie of Crows and just see what that looks like now and how they changed Eyrie of Crows. But those are probably the only 2 things that I'll check out, and then I'll just go back to live servers and check out the rest when it actually comes out. Let me know your thoughts on everything. Do you think they did a good job or a bad job? I think they did a good job, but you know, we have different opinions. So maybe you think that they did a terrible job, and maybe you have other ideas that they should implement. I don't know. I'm excited though. I'm just kind of ready for new stuff because Dead by Daylight feels very stale right now, and I don't know. Little stuff like this gets me excited. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.